In this video, we want to talk real quick about one of the most important things that I often see amateur hitters struggle with, your launch position. When I talk about launch position, it's that position that every hitter get after they work with the load and they land with that front foot. Basically, that's the most important position when we're about to swing the bat. It have to be the most athletic and powerful position that we have to be consistent landing, creating a good posture, using the ground as a leverage to be able to create more power and to deliver the bat into the right direction. The rule of thumb that I usually talk to my players and with the guy who I work with is that when we get into our launch position, essentially we have to look like we can play from this position multiple sports. You can either catch a ground ball, baseball, steal a base, guard somebody playing basketball. A thing that I usually talk to them, what I ask them is, if I tell you I'm gonna jump in your back right now and you have to hold or you have to squat 500 pounds and put those 500 pounds above your shoulders on the bar when you're about to squat, how your body would it look like? So essentially what I see guys being inconsistent with like either stepping out, getting so narrow, super wide. There's many ways how we can improve or not being as efficient or strong when we land into this launch position just because we do not create enough awareness or we not create the habits of getting into this athletic and powerful position. One that I often see is like guys with their hands having their knob pretty much facing out to the batter box. Two, they usually land and put either so much weight on the back leg like this, thinking that they working on staying back, or the opposite, they're still lunging and putting so much weight on the front leg. Three, another common thing that I see is that when they land with their hands, they have pretty much their hands really close to their face and trying to swing from here, causing inefficiency on the way how we create stretch and separation to create power. And they usually struggle with space too as well, because when they land into the launch position and they get here, they usually have the tendency of be pushy and not creating as much power and space. It's not going to be the same from me swinging with my hands, landing from here to there, that trying to maximize that window from with my bat working behind the ball. There's a rule of thumb that every good hitter in the pro level, they usually land and get into a very similar position. When you landing into that launch position, after you load, you have your hands over your back foot. Another important thing too, your glutes behind your heels like this. You're gonna have a posture where you're not like so upright like that. You're gonna lean over the plate a little bit when your posture. You also don't want to start leaning that close from the plate, but you not want to be so into this position like this, because then I'm gonna start working east to west with my trunk and then my bat is gonna follow. Another rule of thumb is still that when we get into this position, my bat have to be somewhere around 40 to 45 degrees. And like I said, pretty much being even with your legs. I often tell my hitters to kind of try to think 50% of the body weight on each leg. The way how we distribute this weight and the way how we put pressure with each foot is different. I can still be and land into that 50% of my body weight on each leg, but I still can put more pressure into my back foot, letting my backside, with that's another topic for another video, should be the one helping me to lead that movement forward when I create that positive move to be able to be in control and adjust to a pitch instead of just like letting my front side, after I load, lead that movement forward. Then I'm gonna start lunging, losing space, and losing speed. I often recommend my hitters that if they struggling with consistency at their launch position, take and work during their batting practice a lot of swing from the launch position where they don't even do any step or move that front foot at all. They kind of just get into the position that I'm talking about. Knob of the bat facing the catcher feet, the back elbow. That's another topic that I see young hitters struggle with. It should work behind my top hand. I often see guys landing into the launch position, either dragging the back elbow, dropping the back shoulder too as well. That'll be a topic for another video, but make sure that back elbow is behind of my top hand here. So I have the knob of the bat facing the catcher. I have my forehead in front or above my toes, my glutes behind my heels, and I have my hands up on my back foot, and you start working with some swings from that position. So you create the habit. You create enough of muscle memory to be able to swing from that position. And creating these patterns, you either want to feel like you're a lot more consistent and stronger when you low half. It's one of the main reasons why we want to get our land consistency into a good launch position, is because you want to be able to use the ground as a leverage. So by the time that I rotate, I'll rotate creating more speed, and I'll be able to rotate and deliver the barrel into the right direction. I often see guys, even before they get into the launch position, they start opening that front side, dropping the back elbow, dropping the back shoulder with it. That's the main reason that why taking a lot of swing from that launch position, and you guys take 5 seconds just to make sure like all those checkpoints that I have to ensure that I'm consistent with to create that athletic and powerful position to maximize my power, my speed, and direction go along with the way how I create this posture and this position at launch, because then I'm gonna be able to create more space and work inside the ball out through contact instead of just landing into my launch position that is not very optimized to be able to be consistent working inside the ball and creating speed and space with it. So essentially it's not going to help me at all to be consistent and translate with the swing that's going to help me to compete at the game. I start here, again, 50 and 50. Make sure your body behind your heel, you're nice and athletic, feeling like you're on the ground, because that's what we're trying to do from this position. We're trying to rotate into the ground. If we start feeling that when we're about to swing from that position, we lose the ground, either pushing off the ground, that's essentially how we call the type of hitter, like pushers, or spin off the ground with my feet, that I start taking my legs and my feet off the ground like that. That's another problem too. That'll be another topic for another video, but essentially that's one of the main reasons why I want to be consistent, landing into that position. Another thing that I usually talk to my players and tell them is, like in baseball or pretty much in every sport, you have a reading or a reactionary position to be able to adjust accordingly. And that's the position. That's one of the main reasons of why getting into a good reactionary position where I can pull the trigger, meaning that I can swing the bat at any time, or I can shoot it down in case that I don't get the pitch that I'm looking for. This position, improving that position, I want to give a bigger window to pull the trigger or just to shoot it down in the last second. Please do not forget about the sequence of how your swing should work, meaning I'm going to work and attack with my hips first, and I'm going to follow my trunk, and then after that is when my upper half is going to get propelled from these two movements to be able to create more speed, to be able to increase that window that I'm looking for to maximize my chances to be able to compete at the game.